I'm really sore.
Are you?
Yeah.
How did you do?
Okay, hold on. Let's do this whole
Okay.
thing we're supposed to do. Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and along with me, as always, is our championship chasing chickadee, Bethany McChesson. And this episode is brought to you by Duonamic, creator of door frame pull-up things that are hard to say and easy to use. All right. It's just kind of a slogan. They don't endorse that slogan whatsoever. I just say it.
I like it.
So yeah, I'm sore.
Yeah. So what was the hardest part? Was it the lunches?
Um, yeah. I mean, yes and no, because of where they were at. They were definitely the hardest parts. I think if you were to separate it on their own, then the thrusters would have been the hardest part. But because the lunges were the very last thing right after the thrusters, that made it difficult. So
And how far did you have to go?
it wasn't that far. It was I think 40 meters in total.
Oh, okay. I saw some video and it looked like you had to go the length of the soccer field.
No, not for that one. It was about 40 meters. Yeah. So about 40 meters.
Oh,
So it was
okay.
like 20 meters out, 20 meters back.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but you could only stop on the 5 meter lines. So if you
Oh.
if you didn't make it to the line, you'd have to go all the way back to the previous line.
Mm.
And actually, we'll talk about that in a sec where that kind of came into play. But so yeah, I'll give you a quick course layout. So it was, and for anyone listening, we did RH1 this weekend. Yay, and had a great time. But started with a 4K run, roughly 2K uphill with about 750 feet of elevation gain, and then the 2K straight back down. Um, for me, that was something I did not perform as well as normal on. I did good on the climb, but on the way down, I was just still tentative with the leg and a little
Mm.
cautious and too cautious. And at a spot where normally I would gain some ground and maybe build a bit of gap, I ended up trailing a bit and having to
Mm.
make up. So anyway, we go from there down onto the field and then right into field stuff. Roughly 100-meter sled push. I would say, I think it was about 100 and it said 180 pounds. I don't know if that's quite accurate, but let's say 150 to 180. So that was pretty taxing right after the run. Then after that was it's like a sled drag. So you put a harness on and dragged a big heavy sled. I don't know how much that weighed, but it was a good heavy drag. Had to lean into it pretty good. Same thing, 100 meters of that. Then you had to do 100 meters of devil presses with one of those. You ever see like the strongman logs?
Yeah, with the handles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know exact weight, but it wasn't super heavy. I would say maybe let's call it between 55 and 65 pounds, somewhere in there.
Mm.
So every 10 meters or so, you would do a devil press with it and then have to walk with it in the rack position. It was a little different for the other divisions. They had to use dumbbells and they had to, and I think it was really kind of funny because I think it was harder for them because although the dumbbells were lighter, they had to carry them overhead as opposed to in the rack position. So I'm like,
So there's no rest at all.
yeah, so that was hard. Anyway, so that and then, yeah, that was the field. Then we went to the rig, and I did love these toes to rope. So I was not certain how it would work out, but you had to climb the rope for expert division, climb the rope 15 feet, tap the top of the rig, and then you come back down and you could come off the rope. I didn't think you'd be able to at first. You could come off the rope, but then you had to go back on and you did toes to rope. So you'd have to bring your toes up over your hands and then back down, past the plane of the rope. And so it was one climb, 5 toes to rope, 5 sets of that. And quite frankly, for me, I made a huge move there.
Yeah.
Went from trailing really badly to catching right up to the leaders.
Hmm.
Just smashed that. And then we went into pull-ups and toes to bar, kind of held my own there. And then box jumps, and I started to fall apart there. One, I'm not great. It was a 30-inch box jumps, and I'm still not the best at box jumps.
Oh, yeah.
I lost a little ground there. And forgot before the box jumps was the 50-pound slam ball ground to overhead. 30
Mm.
of those, which again, that was pretty straightforward, pretty easy. But box jumps, I lost a lot of ground. And then by the time I got on the bar after the box jumps, the ship had sailed. It was like
Yeah.
it was too late to make up that ground. Like I would have had to go unbroken, and I still don't know if that would have been enough, and that just wasn't going to happen. And I was
Hmm.
really hot. It was really, really hot.
Hmm.
So I was hot. I had gone over the hour marker, which is when I right now tend to fall off the cliff. And yeah, but it was a great race. Like it was awesome. Um, yeah, you missed out. You should have went.
I know, I know.
Some of the things that did come up. So last time we went to our RX1 race, there was some issues with the judging on the ring rows.
Hmm.
And I thought after that, what the last thing RX1 is going to do is bring back ring rows for the next event. But they did. Brought it right back, and they were much more stringent on the judging, and it seemed to go a lot better.
Yeah. So
So
where were the ring rows instead of the toes to rope?
instead of the pull-ups for the lower
Oh,
divisions. Yeah.
okay.
And then the toes rope for the lower divisions, what they had was like a rope get up followed by 5 sit-ups, which
Okay.
I think for most people in that one and that those divisions, that kind of provided a bit of a rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was good. So I mean, that was well done. They had the hired judges again for
Hmm.
that, and so it all went really well. It was well set up. It looked like a spectacular first class setup.
Hmm.
And important thing is we had an OFX tent set up, so we had some shade and we looked really cool, like we belonged, rather than running around trying to figure out where to sit down. So we had our own thing
Hmm.
going on. Yeah, I honestly I like to point out a lot of flaws, but there wasn't much to point out that they did wrong.
Hmm.
They had beautiful weather and a good layout. Yeah, I think for one thing for the expert, if I'm nitpicking the sled push and then that drag, they were a little kind of similar. Maybe could have been a little bit something different. I maybe because the lower divisions, instead of that harness drag, they had farmer's carry. Well, a hex bar carry, which essentially is a farmer's carry. I think I would
Yeah.
have went with that instead. Just stayed with a heavy carry there,
Yeah.
especially because
So
but
now you're getting a heavy carry and then all that grip stuff after though.
yeah, it's a lot of grip in it,
Yeah.
which I liked and I think kind of kept me in it
Yeah.
because I
So did
probably
you podium?
nah
No.
nah. Um, no, I think I would have had to have a really, really good run because they were good. It was just really good competition. So I would have had to have a really good run, which I didn't. And even then, it wouldn't have been a sure thing. Like they were just really good competition that day for my division. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. I was happy with how things went. Aside from the downhill on the run, I was happy with everything else. And I mean, like I once I knew there was nowhere, once I knew I couldn't catch the podium and that no one behind me was going to catch me, I kind of just mailed it in on the barbell section and just it was still hard and I was still tired and hot, but I didn't push like I probably could have or should have.
Hmm.
But it was just kind of nothing's happening here, right? I'm not going up, I'm not going down. I am where I am. I'm there. It's like I guess the equivalent of when you're running in a Spartan race. You can't see anyone in front of you. You can't see anyone behind you. You're just kind
Yeah.
of on your own. So
Yeah.
you just do
It's
it.
really hard to race like that when you end up in no man's land.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever had that? Like, or I'm sure you have, but what do you do to like
Yeah,
that?
that happened to me in Tremblant this year. Like the women's field was so small to begin with. And for the first 2 hours or so, I was with a couple of ladies. And then Colleen Coxon made a big move at one point on a climb. And yeah, and then I didn't see anybody for probably 90 minutes. So you're like, I don't know, I could be doing okay. Right?
Might be on the right course. Those
Maybe
when you
she'll
start
come back to me. I don't know. Maybe
when you
she'll
start to
fail
question if
something.
you're on the right course too, right? Like, did I go up?
Yeah.
Am I in the wrong
Yeah.
spot?
It's so hard. It's so hard to race that way.
That is one of the reasons though I like those shorter races too, right? Like you're
Yeah.
or even like longer ultra stuff when it's a short loop, like when we did Platinum Rig, you
Yeah.
were always with somebody. There was always somebody around, right?
Oh yeah. At least you can see someone. Yeah. And this one too, it was so much bushwhacking, like you just couldn't see anything.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
those ones at least you can kind of gauge, like, there's people around. But
And probably the highlight of the weekend. Um, so we have said before we have started doing some training, Bethany and I, so OFX training, and one of our people, John Cross, the awesome John Cross, was there, and John, let's put a little backstory. So last year, John went to this RX1 race, this same race, the championship one, for his first time. And he had just this great battle with Martin. I'm sorry, I can't remember Martin's last name out right away. Sorry? Yeah, we're not going to go with that. So can't remember Martin's right now, but he's a great guy. And him and John had an epic battle, and Martin came out on top on that one. And then through this year, John was back for 3 more races this year, and Martin got him on every one. So John has been training really hard, pushed really hard, really focused on this. And again, he and Martin just went at it. And these guys were toe to toe through the whole thing. There was never a time where it looked like they came down on the run, and John ran that downhill like a madman and pulled a gap, and then came in there and was going. And Martin looked beat right off the run. He looked crushed, but he would not quit, and he made ground up again. Every time it looked like he was going to die off, he came back again. And then they were both, it was finally like we were just screaming for John, like, go. And it was so exciting. And everybody's cheering for both of these two have become like this little RX1 legend against each other.
Oh, awesome.
And, they got onto the lunges, and John was ahead on the lunges. Probably, again, you'd have to go the 5 meters. So John was feeling good, and he went 10 meters. So he went, he didn't put the bar down. He went 10 meters unbroken. And then he set the bar down, and then the judge is like, no, now you got to go back 2, not just 1. And we're like, everybody's like, no, it doesn't make any sense. And John was like, what the hell, man? And because Martin is coming, he's coming behind him. And we're like, John, just go. You can't argue. Like, just go. And he picks it back up, and he goes, and Martin did not have enough left in the tank to make a move, and John polished it off and come across the line. And I mean, it just collapsed in the biggest heap. He left. I mean, you know what it's like when you run a good race and you leave everything out there.
Yeah.
And that's truly what he did. He left everything he had out there, put every bit of fight in him. And I mean, I've very few times I can think of where I've seen anybody fight so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And he did. He came out on top. He won that division, 55 plus intermediate division. So it was a very big win for him. We're very excited. We're all really proud of him. And thank you, John, for making us look good. I mean, it's very, very, very helpful. But yeah, he definitely.
Those are the best races. And to win a race where it's so close and you don't know until you cross the finish line if you have it or not, those are the best ones to win. It's not as fun when you just run away with it.
No, and a year in the making too, right? Like,
yeah,
especially having
He probably dreamt about this a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, like 4 in a row, this guy has got him, and it didn't look like it was getting closer, but I think again, John was fit, he was ready to go, and he also come onto a course that suited him with that downhill. I think, and this just shows you sometimes, even though Martin is a very fit guy, on the downhill, John was more skilled and a better runner downhill. And I think what happened was not only did John put time on him there, but then Martin decided, I'm going to try to keep up. And he went beyond himself. And I think that's,
instead of running his own race.
Yeah, I think that's what did it. I think John ran a smarter race, and he ran a better race, and he was fit to go. So that was awesome. It was just another great experience, another great RX1 camping trip, and people were amazing. Like I said, I mean, the last time I pointed out some faults then on the last race, and this one was tough to do. Yes, there were judging mistakes. Yes, there was stuff. There always will.
Always, yeah.
But there was not I did not see something that was like an epidemic throughout there as a problem.
Yeah.
Right. So good for them. Good fun. We will be back next year. My plan is to sign up for the entire Ottawa region because it's a little bit closer of a drive.
Mm-hmm.
Probably save 2 hours of travel each race, and that's
And they still have another one in September.
They do have an all-star race in September. Sadly, we won't be able to go to that one due to a schedule conflict. But it's an all-star race, and it'll be great too. I mean, they really pull stuff out, and the pro waves too. Those.
Yeah, I got a couple invites to that one actually, and it's all in French again, so I have to wait and then put it into my Google Translate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are you thinking of going? Are you available for that one?
Well, September's so busy. Like OCR Worlds is the
Uh,
focus. So,
and then that's actually
and Sylvie's
you're not
race.
right because that's Sylvie's
Yeah.
race. So, which we'll get to later on.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we'll get to that later on, but definitely is the schedule a conflict. So we can't
Mhm.
make it, unfortunately. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was High Rocks championship video finally came out on YouTube, which I think if you're in Canada was the first we could see it because we don't get
Yeah.
ESPN. I don't think anywhere here gets ESPN2. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't get it. I could not get it.
You can pay like I've done it before to watch a couple world majors for the marathon, but yeah, you have to pay.
All right. So initially, so we did see, and you got to watch it.
I did watch it, yeah.
Okay, what were your thoughts on it?
I always love when they do a production for this type of racing because it doesn't get shown enough. Um, yeah, they did a good job. They kept it pretty condensed. I at first I was like, oh, are they only gonna talk to the top three? Which they did, and that's fine. I think it would have been cool to do like maybe less of a person and maybe a little bit more of some of the other athletes. Like even I mentioned Lauren Weeks, who again she ran, 8 months pregnant, and to do a little bit, she's the previous world record. I mean, world championship winner, world record holder, a little bit more of some of the athletes, but I mean, I loved it. They do a great job. The whole production of High Rocks is just phenomenal. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
I see. I was hot and cold on it. Like
Yeah.
so, right off the start, and I mean, this is not a knock on it, but the Hunter part rubbed me the wrong way. Like,
Okay.
like
It was interesting.
it was cheesy. It was really cheesy, and to me, having spoke with Hunter and SE, that's I don't know. That came across to me as Hunter's online persona, not who he really is. Hunter is not.
Well, I feel also like they edit it. They edit it in a little way also to make it a little bit more like to exaggerate some of the things that he said that were kind of goofy.
Mhm. And that's the thing. Like Hunter is a very intelligent trainer, right? He doesn't do things with it, but he's not just out chopping trees. Like he has a very, very smart plan and he's doing
Mm,
everything very calculated. And I thought I
mhm.
would have liked to have seen that side of him, not the I'm in my overalls shorts with my axe chopping trees and that's all I do. Like,
I know. Well, and I thought it was interesting too, the way they edited it to point out the contradictions in what he was saying. And I think they did it on purpose because one minute he'd be saying, I don't train, I just chop wood for weeks on end. And then the next minute he's like, I put on social media so everyone knows how hard I train. And then he'll say, I just do it now because I need to buy a house. And then the next minute he's saying, that I compete because it ignites my soul. Like they literally went from like one thing to saying the next thing, almost like it was almost like they were mocking him a little bit, like
yeah,
in his contradictions and the way he was speaking. And then the other thing was he said how he was talking about how he doesn't think that he's fitter than his competitors. He just has the mind game nailed down. And then the next was him saying, I need to post to make sure that my competitors know that I'm in the best shape of my life.
yeah. Yeah, again, so like I said, that part kind of rubbed me a bit the wrong way. It
Yeah.
was like I've talked to this man and he is not this guy. The guy that I talked to,
No.
much more cerebral, much more knows what he's doing, and
Yeah.
it is not yeah, he's playing mind games and he's definitely racing a mental race,
Mhm.
but he's the guy that I talked to is much smarter than the guy that
Oh
they
yeah.
and so
Yeah.
that's why I say I'm not knocking Hunter. I think Hunter is a very smart guy and definitely the best there is, but it's just yeah, I didn't like
The
that.
way they edited it. And it was the first athlete they showcased too, and it was a significant amount of time in
Yes,
the documentary.
yeah, and that was the other thing. Was, one, I totally agree with Lauren. I'm like, and you saw lots of shots of her running, and I'm like, how can we not be addressing this? Like,
Right.
like people who do not know the sport are going to see. There's a very pregnant woman running there.
Right. Yeah. And and they showed a couple of shots too, where like she's in the lead group.
Yeah.
Because she
So
was.
I did think that would have been interesting. And I thought, this is ESPN that puts this together. I'm like, wouldn't a 30-30 kind of deal on Lauren be amazing, where they just talked about her whole year going through winning the US championships and setting the world record? And like, that would be a great story. I think that was a mistake for them to omit that and miss out on a chance to really put out such an amazing story. You know, so that one. And then I was a little unsure as to what it was, like how it fit. Where is this a documentary about Hyrox, where we're telling you what Hyrox is, or is this a documentary telling us how the world championship went? And so I was a little bit wishy-washy on that. I would have almost liked two shows, where one was, this is Hyrox, these are the people going in it, these are our competitors, and focus more on more athletes even. You know, let's hear about Rich Ryan and Dylan and you know, more of the women and stuff from Europe, and some of the guys from Europe, like, you know, just more about everybody. You know, Michael Sandbach from England, like, he had a really cool story about getting there and everything. So would have liked to see more of that, and then a separate one kind of showing how the race itself went, start to finish, you know, not just quick, here we go, and she won. So that stuff kind of got me. I did think they did a great job with Chris Rogowski. She came off really well. And
hers was, and I thought Viola's was really well done too.
Yeah, well, really all the other kind of individual.
Well, see, and hers actually they did show, because she said this is where Hyrox began. And she talked about how they used to do it in the field there.
Yeah,
which is cool. I didn't know that.
I'm still dying to talk to Viola one day. Like, I chat with her every now and again online, and we've constantly been meaning to have a phone call to see if the language barrier is too much to get through or not. But I just think she must have some great insight as to, like you said, the beginnings of stuff and how it all got started. I knew, you know, I've always been a big fan of hers. I think she's a fantastic athlete, and I think she'd be a great person to talk to if only I knew German, or she was better at English.
Right. So maybe if someone knows German and English, maybe we could have a fourth party to do some translations.
Maybe one day we'll have to invite Flo back and get Flo and So that's other than that, I mean, I was glad to see it get some airtime, some love, and I hope the numbers went well on ESPN, and I hope that brings more, because I was thinking about it today, and I thought, okay, so you have these criticisms. Did it make you want to try and go and do a race? That was the big question. So I'll ask you first. Did it make you want to go and do a race?
Yes. But I love
it is kind of shooting fish in a barrel, but you know.
I know, yeah. I mean, I'm the type of person that I love competing in anything, but I think it did a really good job of showcasing how awesome the production of Hyrox is. And they probably do that better than any of the hybrid racing that I've ever seen. So for that, Hyrox is worth it.
Production value, I can't think of any, like, they do it better than CrossFit. They do an amazing job on their production value and the atmosphere and stuff. I think they have nailed that beyond anybody, and I think that's partly why they get such good sponsors and things like that. I really think they'll I think they're going to grow more, and I think they'll do really well. Fingers crossed. Even though it is a bit of a slower start in North America than it says is in Europe and definitely in the UK. Again, I think Birmingham is like months out, and they're 95% sold out.
Wow. They do such a good job.
Yeah, and it's not a championship race. I don't think it's a paid race. You know, it's just a regular one, and I'm like, the UK is killing it. They're buying in big time.
Yeah. Well, and I really like to the race organizer was talking about the world championships and how he wanted to give it. And I think it speaks to also to the people that are organizing these events. So one of them, he said, so he was a 3-time Olympian, and they wanted to give people that same type of experience. So they had the ceremony, like the country ceremony where you walked in with your flag, and to give people that type of feel. Like most of us, we're not going to the Olympics, but to give people that same type of feeling. And so giving people that experience and the feelings of those major type championship events is really what their focus was with this one. And I think they nailed it. And that's the type of thing where people want to go back to that. So although some people criticize events like High Rocks and DECA because the race itself is always the same, but I think that experience and the feeling they get from these events is just incomparable to other races. And they nailed that. And I think they did a really good job showing that.
And every athlete that's been there that I talked to or have heard interviews from, especially UK HXR, which is a podcast in UK that covers hybrid racing. Great job, Ian K. He does an awesome job with it. People I've listened to that he's interviewed, it's the same thing. Most of the European athletes and English athletes have all been like, just the opening ceremonies was so awesome and all this stuff. And did you notice I did see there was a Canadian flag? So there must have been at least one Canadian there. I don't know who. Some guy was there from Canada. If anybody knows who he is, please send him our way. God, I don't know. I mean, I could dig through the results and find out, but and maybe I will. But I know that we were not well represented because numbers-wise, this man may have done very, very well. May have won his age group, but I know numbers-wise we were represented well, just because so few Canadians have been able to cross the border and do High Rocks events yet.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess, I was kind of down on it at first, but maybe I was being overly critical and just need to take it as a little more of a celebration and just glad that they got some good publicity and some proper TV time, which hopefully leads to more.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is good for those athletes too. Like it's been hard for athletes who make this their full-time gig over the last few years. Like, Ryan Kent picked up another job. And so it's good for them to get that type of publicity, but again, back into the sport and what they do, because they work so hard.
Why is UPS not throwing a sponsorship at that guy? I mean, seriously. What the hell is your problem, UPS?
That's a good question. Well, do they help him with his
I think they give him some time off, but that's it. But I'm like, come on, like they used to throw millions at NASCAR. Like, just give this guy a couple of grand.
Well, and it's kind of a cool story too. Like, you know how in Ninja Warrior, how they kind of have their like shtick, like the weatherman or something like that. So like, he could use that maybe.
If he run in like the brown shorts, like that they wear all the time, that the UPS guys wear, the famous brown shorts, I think, that'd be good. I think that'd go over well.
Well, he's posted videos of himself training in his uniform.
Oh God.
No time to change when you're on a tight schedule. Newborn baby, full-time job.
Gotta get those packages there on time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would like to hopefully eventually, because I don't know. I would think that would be pretty easy for UPS to throw him a couple of bucks and even if hey, he was on ESPN, right? He could have been wearing his UPS hat. I mean, he mentioned them, but he could have been wearing the whole garb, could have done his brown short workout.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, you throw him into High Rocks Worlds wearing the brown shorts with the UPS logo on the side of those things.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get to our guest. We do finally have Sylvie, who has finally returned from her silliness of having a baby or whatever the hell she was doing. So here we have Sylvie. Let's talk about North of 7. Well, so like we've had some excuses before about like not coming on or delaying or whatever, but the whole like I'm having a baby, like seriously, that's kind of lame.
I know, super lame. And I took like 4 days off.
Took 4 days off to have
Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy, like how quickly they just like let you leave the hospital with your child. Like, all right, see ya. Good luck.
Feel completely unprepared, don't you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, after the first day, they were like, "Okay, you're free to go home." And then they're like, you're welcome to stay one more night if you'd like. I was like, yeah, I'll stay one more night. You're not ready. So I did. And then, yeah, I felt good about that decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when my kids were little, it's like they send you home and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is an irresponsible decision on your part to send me home with a child.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually like really pleasantly surprised and pleased at like how good the experience at the hospital was, like education wise. Like they like really like set us up for success before we left. Like they really were like great at like teaching us like how to latch for breastfeeding, how to like bathe your baby, how to like everything to look for, and like they were just like they were great. So I left like actually being like, oh, all right, let's go do this.
So we should probably do like the introduction thing. It's Sylvie. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
And yes, Sylvie has just had a baby. What's the baby's name? Just so.
Bo.
Very cool.
Yeah. Bo Broser.
Nice. And I imagine everybody's very healthy, happy, and excited.
Oh yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty crazy how quickly babies adapt to their new environment. Like nuts. And how quickly like my body is like healing from getting him just like cut out of my abdomen.
Well, I mean, that's something you guys could probably both speak about. I mean, like you both went through that as fit people. Like the recovery's got to be a lot better.
Oh yeah. And I mean, Sylvie and I, we would have different experiences too. Like I didn't have cesareans, and I had natural home birth. So yeah, it's so wild. Like you're carrying a human one moment, and then the next you're holding this human, and it's so crazy. But yeah, being fit and exercising through your pregnancy makes such a big difference. I was up and walking and moving around within 24 48 hours, which again, if you have cesareans, it's not quite the same. But yeah, it's so remarkable what the body does though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we like it's kind of like weird because it's like just your abdomen, but like you use it for like everything. But like if you have like strength and like decent mobility, you can kind of like find ways to still kind of like do everything without like hurting it too much. But it's definitely like a weird experience. Like Bethany said, like one moment when you have a human inside of you and it's gonna come out and be a human, but like until it's like there, it's like yeah, it's crazy. I still can't believe we made him. Like it's great.
I can't even put together things from IKEA, and I made this.
Yeah, it's wild.
So shockingly, we didn't invite you on to talk about babies, but it is what it is. But before we get to like exactly why we wanted to talk, let's go back because we've never actually had you on. We never got a chance to talk to you before. It was, when we started up and everything, COVID was going on, and you weren't competing and stuff. So let's take us back because my first interaction was actually with both you and Bethany. Was at the same time was when you guys did the Obstacle Sports Canada little shootout thing, and we're competing head to head. And to this day, it really still isn't official who won, is it?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Our video cut out, and then it was like I think I don't know. If Bethany's cool with it, I would say I would be very happy with the tie. But I don't know how Bethany feels. I don't know how Bethany feels about it.
I think we called it a tie in the end.
Well, hopefully one day down the road you can have the tiebreaker someday soon. But
that'd be nice. I'm very much looking forward to being able to train again. I'm very jealous watching all of Bethany's videos. I'm training vicariously through her.
So you went back, like let's go back to kind of your roots, right? You started in OCR back when? What was how did you get into this game?
I got into OCR. I don't know like what year it would have been now, but like a while back. My first introduction to it was when I went to, it was then called Alpha Obstacle Training. And so Jesse Bruce's first gym in Toronto. And they would put on like little, like small OCR events and stuff like that for their members. And then, so like I participated in that. And I was like, oh, I'm an athlete. Like I got this, like I'm gonna crush this. And then I was just like, holy shit, this was so humbling because I was like, yeah, not used to like running longer distances. And I was just like, oh man, like I really did terribly. But I was like, wanted to, get better at it. And Jesse was like, oh, a bunch of us, we travel to these races. Like we all go together and we stay in these houses and we compete. And I think my first OCR, like my first official like OCR race was like the X-Man race. I don't know if you guys have ever done those, but they're pretty fun, pretty well put on events. And then I progressed to Spartan racing. And then, I just kept wanting to get better and kept, meeting more people that went to races and just kept doing it and getting better at it. And yeah.
The X-Men, that was out of Montreal. And I think they were supposed to do one down in the Toronto area. And I don't think it ever happened. I remember, I think, signing up for it and then it got switched around or whatever.
I feel like there's one like coming up like soon. Like I think they're still doing them.
I think so.
I'm not 100% sure.
Quebec's always got that strong OCR scene.
Yeah, for sure.
I've always been very envious. I mean, we seem to be out there way more than we needed to or than we should be. It's like every other weekend I'm going out to Montreal. But they just have such good stuff going on there and we have so little.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of why we're not Toronto area. We're 3 hours away. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So like my partner and I purchased 96 acres of land out here with the intention of doing that, putting on more events that are kind of closer to like bigger city centers, but also able to host people here with like camping accommodations and glamping accommodations and whatnot. Like frequent series and events and stuff out here.
All right. So the basis and the reason we are is because this is going to be your first event, right?
Yeah. So on September 10th, we're hosting the North of 7 Challenge. So it's a 3-kilometer obstacle course race with a fun run option, of course, and then a 2-hour indoor challenge, which is as many loops of the 3-kilometer course as possible in the 2 hours. And so yeah, we're pretty pumped about it. Yeah.
So you got to lay it out. Okay, what kind of, because I'm like a course geek here, so you got to lay out what kind of terrain are we looking at? Is this hilly? Is it a lot of elevation? Is it more like kind of bike trails? Give me some specifics.
Yeah. So it's not very hilly, but it's also not flat. It's also, there's some technical sections in it, but there are some really nice like flat smooth parts because some of the course is part of the OFSC snowmobile trails, so it's like big wide trails, and like there some parts are like pine needles and super soft and flowy, and then some parts are a little bit like muddier, and some parts have a bunch of like rooty stuff that's like makes you go a little bit slower and a little more technical. We're doing like a kind of like a ridge run kind of around the pond where you kind of like have to like go down and try to not fall in the pond basically. And yeah, so it's like it's gonna be like, I think for experienced OCR runners, it's gonna be a pretty fast course because it is relatively flat, but it's like sneaky incline where like it's just like really gradual. but like not fully flat. But it's beautiful. It's like unlogged forest that we've created trails in. So you kind of like go through different sections where you feel like, oh, this is neat. Like there's like it's wild. Like it's really wild. Like it's not like a perfectly groomed like trail, but it's also like very runnable, like very like it's not. I'm biased because we made it, but but it's a nice running trail for sure.
Be kind of comparable to like something like we used to do at Duntroon.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, they had like a lot more like open, if I can
Yeah.
remember, a couple years, but like really like spaces. I felt like fields and stuff, which is not like that. But I also could be wrong. I actually do remember some parts during that where they had like some more like foresty stuff where I think it might be like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And obstacles. What are we looking at for obstacles? You had platinum rig involved.
Yes. So we have a platinum rig. We have just like standard like 7-foot wall. We'll have like we've got a bunch of tires. We haven't exactly figured out what we're doing with them, but we're gonna do something spicy with them. We have a spear throw. We have a log chop, which for people who are used to chopping wood will be really easy, but I have a feeling that some of our city slickers are going to get stuck there. Some carries. We have our signature North of 7 obstacle that's going to get built with the help of some local builders in our local hardware store. So we're like TBD. We're not exactly sure what it's going to be, but we feel like we need like an obstacle that's like unique to our race. So we're going to have that. Crawl. Like Mom made us some spears, so we're going to trying to find a way to do it. Maybe like moving targets or something. Throw, spice it up a little bit.
And so are you going to have like, so you say there's a 3K and then there's obviously an open thing and then there's the enduro one. Is it all competitive? Or are you going to have like age groups, or are you just going to have like a competitive series and open and just go from that to start simple?
Yeah, so it's just right now it's just competitive and open. We will definitely categorize like age groups and stuff like that and shout out the podiums for the age groups. But as far as the cash prizes go, they're just for the top finishers in the 3K competitive and then the 2-hour endure challenge. But yeah, that's so it is also an OCRWC qualifier. So the top 5 finishers from the 3K competitive, male and female, will qualify for the pro division for OCRWC for this year or next year, their choice. And then cool. The top 10 finishers in the 2-hour indoor challenge, male and female, will qualify for OCRWC for this year or next year if they choose to, because it's so close to it this year. So if they can't make it, then they can choose to use it towards next year.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I was thinking that when I read that, I'm like, OCRWC qualifier, that's cool and all, but most people are either in or they're not at this point, so that you can use it for next year. That's awesome. And will it just be for the pro, or is there a standard for the age group too? I might have missed you say that.
So OCRWC is not doing competitive this year. They're only doing the pro. So I'm not sure if they're going to have it back next year, but it would be a cool thing if you're looking to qualify for pro and they bring back competitive next year and you could qualify for pro this year. So that would be a bonus.
That's not too bad. And then for penalties and stuff like that? Are you mandatory completion? Is there penalties?
Yeah. So it's mandatory obstacle completion. So you can try as many times as you want to complete it. No penalties, no penalty loops. Of course, and like we want, so it is like an introduction to obstacle course racing for a lot of people out here who have never done anything like it. So we wanted the obstacles to be like very doable. So we're not trying to like create these like next levels that are gonna like just like rip people's souls out. Like that's not the kind of race that we're doing. We want them to be like where you can come out and like if you're going super hard, they're challenging, especially if you're doing the 2-hour indoor challenge. Like the rig's gonna be quite long and like, you know, it's gonna get hard like as the race goes on. But like we want it to be like a fun competition where like you can really like push yourself and go hard and like it's like a pleasant experience. Like we're not trying to like crush people's sternums and stuff like with like these dangerous obstacles. Like they're all very doable, if you will.
I'm all for that. I love the speed courses. I'm all about the speed courses. I like, and we've said this about Spartan before, is I've always thought Spartan should be mandatory completion because the obstacles are not terribly difficult. So it's a good situation to have it. So I think that's a great plan. I like the fast. I like the speed, you know.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can catch some people up on some obstacles. You know, maybe I can pass Bethany on the rig.
Depends on what we're racing, Dave. The 2-hour or the 3K?
Oh yeah, it's just a 3K. 2 hours. I'm already...
you can do both as well. Like we structured the day because
no,
like
I can't.
We know like a lot. Yeah, you can. So like a lot of people are doing the 3K to like scope out the course to like then go and like really give her in the 2-hour challenge as well. So like, yeah, a lot of people are doing both. And we'll allow race day registrations for those as well. If people say, I have a feeling if anyone does the 3K, they're going to be like, okay, I want to do the indoor now. So we kind of made it that way. So like the first heat of the day is the 3K competitive. Then we do the fun run. Then we actually have a first responders heat as well, because we've got a lot of like local first responders up here, and theirs is a little spicier. They have to do the whole course with an extra 20 pounds with them. And then we have the 2-hour indoor challenge after to end the day. So you can do both.
There you go, Beth. I think we should throw on 20-pound weight and that'd make it a fair race.
No. So tell us about the camping.
What's that? Yeah, exactly, Beth.
The what?
For the camping, so we have two kind of options. So we have like our glamping sites that are like they're further on the property and they're a little more private. And they're like nice glamping tents on platforms, and they're kind of by the pond. And then we also have the athletes camp, which is just going to be kind of like a big cleared area with its individual spaces that can accommodate up to 4 people per campsite. But we kind of want to make it like, as much as it's like we've made this awesome course and like we really want to host this amazing obstacle course race, we also just want to have like an epic like hanging party afterwards, because like we got something that's missing at these races. So it's fun and like leave hang out, but like just like you're not just gonna hang out in the festival area. So we want people to come race and then like stay, camp, have an epic bonfire, you know, just have some barbecues and hang and stay at night and like enjoy this like beautiful area where we live, because like it's so quiet and beautiful at night. So I'm really hoping it's a nice night. Historically, for the last like 6 years, it's been like a perfect day on September 10th up here. So I'm hoping that continues.
Well, I'm all for it. I just need somewhere to park my van, and then I'm good. That's all I need.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect.
Don't think there's going to be plugins. I think we're not going to get that.
I mean, there's not any for official renting, but if you know the right people, you might be able to get some.
To run our giant
We,
powered air conditioner.
yeah, well, we actually have an RV that we renovated because when we were renovating the house, we were like it wasn't ready to live in, but we had decided to move up here anyway. So we were actually living in an RV for like the first month that we lived up here. So we actually have like a big plug thing on the side of our house for the RV.
I think if I was like in an RV for months, they'd probably never get me out. I would just say, screw it. The house is fine. I'm just staying in like my RV. I don't need no house.
You know what? It was pretty ridiculous too because like for my birthday, Mitch had got me like 11 chickens and like they lived with us in the RV like for the first month. Like because like we built while we were building the chicken coop. So they were probably in the RV with us for like a week. But like they're like in a tiny box because they're like little babies. I was like, my life now. Live in an RV with chickens. But it was fine.
So will there be fresh eggs the morning of the race then? Like for everyone? Because that only makes sense.
So yes. So not the morning of the race, but the following morning for the people who are staying the night. We are going to be having a pancake breakfast the following morning with their homestead maple syrup because we have a bunch of maple trees here, so we make maple syrup. So we're gonna have that, and we'll probably cook up a bunch of eggs too. But the day of the race, we're gonna have our local butcher shop, Milligan Meat. They're gonna be here cooking up barbecue stuff for us, and they're amazing.
Wow.
So I'm tempted to just come to eat. I might not race. I might just sit there and camp and eat.
Yeah, honestly, that's why we train to eat more.
So the night before, can people stay the night before? For example, like for us, we're going to be traveling a few hours, so it's tough to do in the morning. And what time is the race slated to go off?
Yeah, so for that reason, the first heat of the day is at 9 a.m. So anyone who does want to leave in the morning, like, could theoretically do it at like a somewhat reasonable hour. But we definitely are opening up the camping on the Friday night. We'll have all the washrooms here. They're slated to arrive Thursday. So the camping will be available Friday night and Saturday night for anyone who wants to come the night before.
That's perfect. Perfect. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Like, so why, I mean, you've been through the grind, you've seen all this, it's not easy to host one of these races.
Yeah.
Even before you undertook this. So why'd you decide to do it?
I don't, because I love it so much because it is hard to do. And for that reason, I feel like less people are doing it. It's also like, I really enjoy it. Like I really, especially being out, like when we saw this, oh my God, the opportunities are endless. Like we could do so much on this land and it's so beautiful. And like, I didn't want to move up here and like become a hermit and like just enjoy it as much as I do love being up here alone with Mitch and our dog Archie and our chickens and now our baby. I want to invite everyone to like come up here and like enjoy the nature and like train out here with us. Like that's like it's like a dream come true. So as much as it is a lot of hard work, and I'm sure I'll be like cursing myself like the days leading up to the race. I just like I really obstacle course racing like legitimately like changed my life for the better. And like if I can have the opportunity to expose other people to like that type of experience, like being outdoors and like challenging yourself and being surrounded by OCR people, because like you guys are like the salt of the earth. Like OCR people are so friendly and kind and hardcore, but like just like also so down to earth. So it's just like, yeah, it's I don't know. I guess because I think it's worth it.
That's awesome. That's probably the best reason. Like that, I mean, that's kind of why we do this, except, well, we're not good people, really. We just do it for.
You definitely are.
But yeah, it sounds really good and really exciting. And I know you were saying that, and you had your posted. So how many obstacles are you figuring for the 3K?
I think like official obstacles, I think there's going to be like probably 12 in the end, but there are a lot of like natural obstacles that were just like we had that a direct show a while back. I don't know if you guys like heard about it, but like our trails just got like decimated. Like trees were down everywhere, so it took forever to clean them up, and some of the bigger ones, like we just left them there. And so you're gonna have to be like going over and under some of the bigger ones, because we're just like, oh, we're just gonna leave them. It's gonna be an obstacle. So it is kind of like in some areas like yeah, you can't even like walk through, and we're never gonna get to clean them up because it was just like absolutely destroyed, which is kind of heartbreaking, but it's also like that's nature. So those like natural obstacles, like we're not counting them as obstacles. They're just like part of the trail that you have to go through. So there's going to be 11, maybe 12 official like obstacles.
That's still like it's like one every 300 meters.
Yeah, but they're not quite spread out that way. There is like one like longer stretch of like straight running where people are going to be like, give me an obstacle. But yeah, I think it's a good amount of obstacles in that length of course.
That's awesome. And so like this isn't a one-off, right? You're planning to keep doing this. You're going to expand. You're going to invite us up to build obstacles sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, this is the first of hopefully very many. We've got a lot of ideas for different types of events to host up here. And then, series would be nice. It is absolutely, like I mentioned earlier, because we're part of the Bon Echo snowmobile loop. The OSFC grooms our trails in the wintertime. So like a properly done winter OCR is like something I wanted to do for a long time. So we'd love to host one like every season, because every season up here looks completely different. I think fall, when the race is going to be happening, is one of the best seasons. But I say that every season. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best season. This is the best season. So I don't know. It's it's going to be the first of many. And, we're building some infrastructures and some obstacles and stuff. And it's just going to keep getting like bigger and better. We have the opportunity to build so many more trails. But it's just kind of been Mitch and I and his family like building these trails. So it takes some time, but like there's so much opportunity. So we're looking forward to hosting more events in the future.
Well, I mean, we've said it before, like OCR in general since COVID and especially in Canada has struggled a bit to regain its feet. And we've said, I believe that this is the kind of thing exactly what we need, is because we just needed some crazy person with a little bit of land to get nuts and build some shit so that we can all go to. But yeah, because financially to be able to host one of these, I mean, the traveling roadshow is very expensive to do. Whereas this can slowly improve and build and build and build. And I think it's exactly what the sport needs right now. And I really appreciate you doing something. Like, we are very excited about it. Can't wait to take part. Can't wait to see a lot of people. Hopefully, maybe see Bethany, maybe do some damage out there. I mean, I would win it like handily, but I'm just not like that right now, so
for sure.
Next time,
maybe. For sure.
More concerned about enjoying the trails right now. And
you know what though? Like, don't count yourself out. There's a few like really fast guys that have signed up so far, but I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's like one of those trails where if you just decide you're gonna hammer it and go really hard and like want it,
Unless they break out the
test
Spartan
your
wrestling.
ability.
Unless they break out the Spartan wrestling, I think I'm out of the loop. But I will enjoy chasing them as best I can. But
yeah, no, we're not doing any wrestling, unfortunately.
Good.
Maybe after in the festival area or the after camp.
You drinks by the bonfire, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? That's usually awesome.
But well, maybe I'll have to include that in the waiver just to make sure we're not liable for any post-race wrestling injuries. I haven't specified that.
Awesome. Well, I'm very excited. We can't wait to do it. Beth, do you have anything more for Sylvie?
No, yeah, just again, congrats to you and Mitch on the birth of Bo, and we really look forward to coming out and doing your race, Sylvie. So anyone that can make it, check it out. North of 7 is the name of it. It's happening September 10th, I believe, right?
Yep. And we made you guys a promo code as well. So yeah, so OFX, 15% off of registrations for any of the heats.
Perfect. That's awesome, Sylvie. Fantastic. And everybody out there, honestly, we say we need more races. We say we need more local stuff. So put your money where your mouth is, jump on, support, and let's get out there and have a great time. And volunteer too. I'm sure you need volunteers.
Yes, we will take all the volunteers. Well, we're actually pretty lucky. So I'm part of the volunteer fire department up here. So we're actually getting some volunteers from them, and like we have so many neighbors that are just like think it's so neat. Like they're like, "What are you guys doing?" Like they see us like putting up a rig and stuff like that, and they're like, "What is going on over there?" And they just think it's so cool that we're like doing this. Where like I think that's great too, because they so easily could have been like, "Oh, what are these guys doing? Doing these events and getting all these people in their quiet little neighborhood," but they just are like, wow, that sounds so cool. Like, can we volunteer? So there's going to be lots of really cute, friendly local people volunteering, hopefully. So, but yes, of course, we will take any volunteers that want to volunteer.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait, Sylvie. Thank you so much. And September 10th.
Yeah, we're pumped to see you. I'm so excited to see you guys. I feel like it's been forever.